I guess it's time to finish up these heads. We're getting pretty close to final assembly. I know I don't have the crankshaft back from the balancer, but I did go by there 3 weeks ago and he wasn't there. But I do have a friend that has a rotating assembly that he won't be needing, and hopefully I'll get that from him. So since I have this fixture for checking valves, it'd kind of be wrong to put it together without checking these valves out. You have to make sure everything's clean because we're measuring in tenths of a thousandths. If there's any grease or gunk or anything, it wouldn't work. So you have to set the angle at the 45 because that's what the face is on these valves. So this works properly without cosine error. And then you got to get down here with your optivisors and put some paper back behind here so you can see. That's a pretty narrow seat and you have to hit it right on the money, so it takes a little setup time, but we'll get there. But like I say, we ought to check them. Find a zero here. I don't know if that was me or it. Ooh, yeah. I don't know what the spec is on these. I have had some valves that were dead on. And it looks like I'm a little. This one looks like 4/10. You can't push too hard or you'll flex everything. Well, we're getting, is that real that I'm getting right there? You shouldn't be turning on the other side there. I shouldn't have done that. Let me try it again. Well, I don't know if that was real. Let me go look again. Looks like we're about 3/10. I'm guessing that's not bad. I'll have to check them all and see if they're all similar. But it's more fun when they're dead on. It makes you feel good. But I don't know if 3/10 is a bad thing or not. But I'll check the rest of them and see if they're similar. Now I guess we ought to check those valve springs. Comp says to break in this cam, to take the inner spring out for your break-in. These are comp 929s, I believe. And we're going to be installed at 188. So they want 100 and we are at 188. We're 101.5. So maybe comp won't void your warranty for being 1.5 pounds over. But we'll put it together with a single spring and see if it works. As you know, these blocks come with a fitting up front to route your oil in if you're using an external line. They come with a plug furnished with the block if you're not going to be using this port. This is called a -12 ORB, which means it's a -12 size, AN-12, and ORB means O-ring boss. So it's sealed by this boss, not like a normal AN fitting where you're tightening up here. The O-ring seal here by that bevel means this is a -12 ORB. So I bought this Mylodon oil pump the other day, and it has an O-ring boss also if you're using that type of arrangement. But for an O-ring boss fitting, they gave you this thing, which that's nothing but a coupler with an O-ring on it. Don't be buying this to stick in this hole. That hole doesn't really align with the middle, and this goes in too far anyway. So don't be using that junk. You can get a real fitting with the radius entry here, and it's shorter, so it won't stick in so far because this hole isn't in a perfect alignment with it. You want this, you don't want that thing. And just for the record, that is a Aeroquip FBM 2955. I've been waiting 2 weeks for the weather to get better so I could wheel this block outside and clean it up for final assembly, but it's never got better, so we'll just go ahead and go over it in here, and then so I can finish this video, and then as soon as the weather gets better I'll clean it up. The main thing on the block cleanup, of course you want everything clean, you know that, but the main thing you want clean is the oil galleys. That's the hard part, the hidden part. You're going to have some brushes. You need to know how the oil flows through the engine, so you know where the oil galleys are so you can clean them up. So the oil comes into the block from here, and you know most of this stuff. Comes down to here, so you clean this with that brush. Then it goes down to the lifters, and then travels to the back of the block, and then comes back up to the front. So you'll need brushes that with the length and the size that you need. And what you use for a brush is kind of depending on your block. If it's a new block and you think that there's no rust in there and it's not going to be real hard to clean up, you just get some nylon brushes or whatever they call that stuff and clean them out, and that'll be good. If your block is used and you see some rust or some bad stuff and needs to be cleaned up, you'll want to use a metal brush for that. When the main oil passages that you don't want to miss are what feeds the mains. If you leave trash in there, they're going straight to your mains. You do not want trash going to your main bearings. Some people think this supplies oil to the mains. It does not. The most important passage on the block is this that goes from the oil, from the lifters, down to the mains. That is the one that you want to take care of. Of course, you clean all of these, don't get me wrong. This main is fed from the main galley here. But this is what you care about. When you see that on your main bearings, when you tear it down and you see that and wonder where it came from, that's trash that you left in there that went straight down to the bearings. So take care of that, use the proper brushes. There are some people that clean these blocks in those pressure wash cabinets and they think that somehow that cleans the block. It can't clean the block. You have to have brushes. The only thing you can do is brush this out. if you, when you get down, I had a buddy with a pressure washer. He wanted to do one time, and I said, okay, go ahead. So he pressure washed for an hour, and when he got done, I ran this through there, and of course it came out black, and I told him, you can't clean the oil galleys with a pressure washer. And of course, obviously, you can't with a pressure cabinet. And you know, you can get these gun cleaning kits on Amazon for a little nothing, and you get a lot of different sizes, and you get some. These wipe out the passages real good when you get done, but you know, it's just a cheap way to get a lot of different sizes. For the cylinders, you don't have to have one of these brushes. Goodson sells these, and they're nice and all of that. But, you know, I think a white washcloth probably does just as good. When you're cleaning this up, you should enjoy it because, you know, some parts about building an engine are expensive, and guys say, oh, I don't have the money for this, or I don't have the money for that. Well, you've got the money. You can clean up a block. It's not expensive. And when you do, you know, you're as good as your Hemi engine building hero. I mean, I don't care if it's Maurice Petty or Jake King or Keith Black or Ray Barton. It doesn't matter. You're just as good as they are. They've got the same bucket of hot water and Tide. They've got the brush. They've got the washcloth. You're as good as they are. Do everything. Do everything. Some of these threads here, you might be using sealant on or Loctite. And so you want to clean the threads out good, or else you know that the sealant or the Loctite is not going to work. So mainly the oil galleys. Of course, get the cylinders, but you can wipe them out spotless clean later, you know, but now's the time to do it. Get everything. Get every hole, even things that you, like if you leave dirt in this hole, then when you stick your bolt in there, it's going into your main caps and the threads and every single hole. Clean it perfect, as Keith Black's instructions used to say on his blocks. Clean it over and over and over until it's absolutely perfect, and then clean it one more time. So that's probably good advice. And of course, when you get done with it, blow all the threads out so you don't rust in there. You don't want to leave water in the threads. But as soon as it gets better, I'll wheel this outside, and then I should have my buddies got a 572 rotating assembly because I don't have mine back. So he didn't have a use for it. I should have it by then, and we'll be able to start final assembly on the next video.